Well, yeah, thank you for setting up this meeting, Cynthia. This is really great because, I love the opportunity to connect with other teams or, people who are interested in learning more about like what we do. So
Cool. So before we dive in, can you give me a brief explanation about yourself?
yeah, thank you for having me, Cynthia. This is a great opportunity, and thank you to the team at Crow's Nest as well for everything they do, with their services and supporting their communities. My name is Hesham. I'm a co-founder, growth lead, and business development for Elys Network. I got involved in crypto back in about 2017, I think is when I first started in the Bitcoin. And then from there, expanded into Ethereum and eventually, got very excited about DeFi. I think I saw the opportunity back then when I could see that I could replace the things that you could do in the TradFi world and do it with self-custody, do it decentralized manner. And I recognized that this was going to be like a really major way of doing things going forward in the future. So I was an early DeFi user. In the beginning, I think there was a lot of disappointment or frustration with the early platforms. Even with the great things that came out like Uniswap and stuff, there was still a lot of pain points or challenges for users who wanted to learn how to get involved. So that's how I got together with the other founders of Elys Network, is we decided we would take on these challenges and be a real viable alternative to help users break free from centralized exchanges, because that's been our big focus area, is why are users still on centralized exchanges but not coming into DeFi. So that's pretty much how I got involved. My education background, I went to the United States Air Force Academy. I graduated in 2002. I have a degree in operations research, and then I have a master's of business administration from Arizona State University. So I'm not super technical, so I don't handle any of the code or anything like that, but I do interface directly with validators and governors, and then I speak with our engineers daily. So I try to understand, most of the things that they go through. And I did also have a validator as well, and I'm a co-founder of OtterSync Validator. So it's been good to be on both sides of that, to also work as a validator.
And can you explain me shortly what Elys does exactly? Because you said that you don't want them to be independent of central exchanges.
Yes, I can. So Elys Network is a all-in-one DeFi platform. It's a place where a user can essentially get spun up very, very easily. They can create an account. They can use a social login. They can connect an existing wallet, a ledger wallet, etc., and then be very, very quickly connected. It'll act as a decentralized exchange, so you can swap assets and stake assets. You can provide liquidity, or you can also engage in what's called leverage LP, which is leverage liquidity provision. And then you can also do we have these earn pools, which are single stake pools, where you can deposit your asset and then users can borrow against it for leverage LP. So it's a borrow pool. And then we'll be rolling out perpetual trading shortly. We have an order book in the works. Derivatives trading will be coming, and then RWAs as well. And then we'll have AI tools will be rolled out as well this year. So it's going to be a full comprehensive suite. I can also do a demo if you want. I can put it up on my screen if you want to take a look at what it looks like. But we basically want to give users an alternative, like a high quality, world-class alternative to using a centralized exchange, which can be frustrating for users because of the fees, because of the custody. You just saw what happened to Bybit the other day with $1.4 billion Ethereum hack, and so it can be very, very scary to be a user on a centralized exchange and not have custody of those funds.
Okay, thank you for explaining. And can you also tell me about the experience that you had back then when you started to select or work with validators?
Yeah, we're very thankful to our validators and governors who have been with us since the very beginning. It was difficult kind of starting up because you wanted to get with people who you could trust to, be willing to put the work in from the very beginning, especially when you're thinking about, okay, you're still in the middle of like fundraising, you're still trying to, put together the very, very early stages of the chain. I think we launched our testnet in March of 2023, for the very first one. It was a very basic chain back then, right? We didn't even have a front end. And so it was very, very important that our engineers had a direct line of communication with those validators because we were constantly upgrading the chain. We were maybe upgrading like once a week or maybe even more to keep adding new features. And selecting the validators, for me, I reached out personally because I was a validator, and so I had already been familiar with names like Crow's Nest and Pokachu and all nodes, and so I reached out directly to several validators that I thought would be very trustworthy, and Crow's Nest was one of those that I had contacted. So I'm actually very thankful to the validators who stepped up, and I know a lot didn't have time because there were, if a typical validator might be working 15, 20 chains, so it's very difficult to take out a new testnet, and I'm thankful to them for doing that. So reputation is a big one. Having a good reputation in the space for being easy to communicate with, responsive, available. I would say the other things are going to be like, how engaged are they with their community? So if they communicate a lot with their users and talk to them about like governance and talk to them about like what they see as a vision for like where the chain is going, I think that really helps from like the education side and user onboarding. We see a lot of that now. We see a lot of validators stepping up and being more communicative on X or on Reddit. And they're actually, I actually really like Reddit as a conversational method for a validator to engage with their users. So that way a user can kind of like give them feedback and tell them what's going on, and other people can jump into the conversation.
Clear. Thank you for explaining. And were there any particular parts that were difficult?
There was a lot of difficulty.
Okay.
Well, and that's the beauty of a testnet, right? They're always going to be hard. I think it just shows like the determination and the will of the engineers and the validators and everybody who came together to keep troubleshooting. I think we probably had at least 10, 15 chain halts. Right? We had very, very major bugs as we were going through it. But that's the purpose of a testnet, right? You're trying to break it as much as you can.
And what is a chain halt?
Chain halt is when the chain stops producing blocks. So,
okay.
So if this were to happen in mainnet, it's a big deal, especially when you're like a DeFi platform, because then nobody can access the chain. So, and it's generally a big deal to get the chain back up and running again. Usually, if you have a chain halt, you have to issue you have to find what caused the problem with the binary, right? So you identify the problem. Once you find it, you have to implement a fix, and then all the validators have to patch it. So you would have to do like an emergency binary upgrade. Everybody, stages their machines, gets it going, and then you reach consensus, and then hopefully you start producing the next block. So we have a lot of experience with that. We did it a few times in testnet, and so I'll say the challenges are that when things happen, maybe like in the middle of the night for most of the validators. So let's say most of our validators maybe were in Europe or something, and the problem happened around that time. Now you try to get everybody to come together at their earliest convenience to fix things. And so the biggest challenges, I think, is coordinating across a validator set that lives all over the world. That is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
I will say the other things is just even getting together to do meetings or any kind of like community call or anything with a validator on it. Same thing, you end up having to do multiple, so you have to do like one that's maybe geared towards like US and Europe, and one that's geared toward Asia, so that you can accommodate all the time zones.
So you do try to get validated from different time zones to get coverage.
We do need that.
Yes.
We need that not just for coverage for like addressing like chain issues, but also because we want the chain to be very decentralized. So we'd like the hardware, we'd like the actual nodes to exist all over the world, so that you have like the proper decentralization.
And when you said there was so many bumps, did you already have a sort of a planning or a test framework that you are familiar with because you're a validator yourself, or is this something you had to come up with on the go?
Our developers were very experienced coming from other chains. We have really high quality, like world-class developers that have come from like Persistence and work directly on Cosmos SDK. So we have some OGs. So they had some really good best practices that they have implemented into the development process, like checklists and everything that they follow is very meticulous. I would say that what the challenges were because we were implementing very customized and very complex DeFi functions that we're doing differently than other DeFi platforms. So those things you expect to have bugs. You expect to have some issues where you're going to have challenges where like you have to go back and rework the code. So it wasn't anything that like was unexpected. It's something that sometimes you don't discover the issues until you actually put them through testing. So the validators, I think, also do a very good job. I think many of them have automated a lot of the processes, which is actually a very good thing. So I know there's like a lot of debate over whether to use like the automated, the Cosmo Visor functions, which automatically, like when it sees a new tagged binary, it'll go and download it and stage it and have it ready for the next upgrade automatically. Some people have mixed feelings about that, but in a test net, it's probably okay because there's no like real like financial risk. In mainnet, there's probably a little bit more oversight required because you want to make sure that somebody somebody with malicious intentions hasn't taken over the GitHub and then tried to push a malicious binary. So a little bit different mindset, but at the same time, we do see the validators that use automation have like a much easier time managing multiple chains, and we encourage that, right? Like we encourage them to use automation in a way that they are now able to like look at things and make sure everything's going well, and then having really strong like reporting metrics. So you have whether they're using PagerDuty or they used to use TenderDuty, and that's been deprecated, but there's Prometheus, there's other things that they can use to essentially send them real-time data to let them know any alerts if anything's happening with their validator. So I like that our validators are very hands-on and our governors, and so this allows us to kind of like be very agile, be very ready for like whatever happens. So most recently, we actually just had a chain upgrade that's going out today, actually, because of a vulnerability that was discovered in Cosmos SDK. And so it's something that like many chains have to implement. So we were able to get the governors to vote on it very quickly over the weekend, and then the validators, we informed them on the Thursday or Friday to let them know, hey, be ready, this is coming Monday. So we're very thankful to them to be responsive, to be able to do that, because generally we don't like to move that quickly. It's too short notice. But typically we try to go for like a week out, for example.
Yes, all right, understood. And back then, when you were attracting validators, can you tell me how that went? Because you said you reached out to them yourself, right?
Yes.
And can you then tell me what happened? Because I hear from other people that they just in a testnet that the performance comes up automatically, and that it shows by itself who's performing and who's not. Or how was it for you?
So we had a good response rate from validators in the beginning. I think we had opened up the validator set all the way to 100 just because we wanted to be able to make sure that we could handle a large validator set. And then along the way, we started reducing it because for mainnet, we wanted to launch with a smaller set. So right now, I think our max is 40, and we're very close to 40 validating for us right now. But we did take it all the way to 100, and we had some very, very large, very reputable validators join us, which we're very thankful for. So response rate was very good. We had some people decline just because they had too many chains already. They were like, "Oh, we're just so busy, we can't take on a test net," and we understand that. We did once we were closer to mainnet, we had a lot more interest from validators wanting to join once they were ready to launch, because there's validators who maybe just prefer to only do mainnet, which is totally okay by us, right? In terms of measuring their performance, we did look at things like uptime, governance participation, community support, technical support, anything that they could do to contribute. We gave them marks for that. So we were able to do a delegation program at launch where we gave them a token delegation based on their participation in testnet, and it will rebalance that every few months. So we actually have the next one coming up very soon where we'll rebalance based on again, continued participation or technical support. And the governance has now shifted over to governors because we're a partial set security chain. So the validators don't vote, but they'll still be evaluated based on, so that now delegation program goes to the governors instead.
Okay. And were there also certain contributions that were super critical, or maybe something that was contributed and it was unexpected or seen as very valued?
For mainnet, we had a lot of the same validators from testnet, but because we're a partial security chain, you have to be a Cosmos Hub validator to validate for Elys. So that eliminated several of the validators from being eligible. And then from there, it's a purely voluntary opt-in process. So with partial set security, they can opt in, and if they have high enough voting power on the Cosmos Hub, they will then be validating Elys Network. What we did to incentivize them was we gave 15% of protocol retained revenue, or 2.5% of system revenue goes to Atom stakers. So we actually reward them in our reward token of Eden, which vests over 90 days, and you can redeem for Elys. So this is like our like way of like providing a financial incentive for them to stake or to provide network security for Elys. As far as new validators who wanted to validate for us at mainnet, since it was voluntary, we welcomed anybody who wanted to come. So we actually had a really high turnout. We were probably targeting about like 25 validators based on our size, and we got I think 35 or 36. So we're very happy with that response. And then we have a few more, I think, unused. Like I think we're probably sitting at around 36 right now. But 4 more will eventually opt in, and then we'll be at our max. But if they don't opt in, that's okay, because for our chain size, we are pretty right sized. So we'll see where it goes from there.
And has there also been validators, for instance, who invested in you guys that made a difference?
We have some validators invested in Elys. Some have invested at the pre-seed, and some invested at the seed round, which we're very, very thrilled with. And we thank them for their support. We've had validators provide technical services, relayers, of course, archive nodes, and even some people actually helped us debug some code. So we're very thankful to all of those validators who have kind of stepped up and taken on those roles for us, because I know it's very expensive and time consuming at times to provide extra infrastructure for us, but it means a lot to us. Having high quality relaying services is actually really underappreciated in Cosmos ecosystem, because you need the relayers for IBC to work. And we don't talk about it enough, and users probably don't realize how critical that is to making all of this work. So we're very, very thankful to those validators who do that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And yes, I know it's not very spoken about.
As founders, we should all do more messaging to try to make sure users are aware of why validators do what they do, and how important that is, and how critical of a role that is for blockchain's existence. Right? We don't have a blockchain without the validators. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll continue to acknowledge them and praise them, and continue to kind of like make sure our community is aware that there should be no ill will ever to a validator for doing what they're supposed to be doing. This is like such a critical function. And in our case, like I said, the validators don't vote, so we use governors for that. So we separate those roles, which actually I think is really great for our governors and our validators, because now our validators can focus strictly on the network security side, and then the governors take care of the governance. So it kind of represents more of like a functional economy, where you don't have everybody trying to do everything at once. You actually specialize the jobs based on what people are very good at. So I think we're pretty excited with the design, with partial set security.
Okay, nice. And then a different question. When you launched, have stakers ever expressed any frustration in understanding their rewards or the APY over time?
Our users at the beginning have probably been around for a while. They probably understand Cosmos very well. So, and I think our testnet ran long enough. Our testnet ran for probably about 6 months, that we probably did not have that type of an issue in terms of like the understanding. With new users, I will say that they're probably coming in and trying to like figure out how our reward system works, because it's not a standard staking module that we use from Cosmos SDK. We actually customize it. So we have the Elys token, but then we reward in our inflationary tokens, actually called Eden. When you receive your rewards in Eden, you can claim them and you can stake them to restake them essentially back in and get the same APR. Or you can vest them, and if you vest them, they will convert to Elys, and you'll be able to redeem them as Elys at 1-for-1. So it's the same value. And then you'll redeem them at any point. But if you do the full vesting period takes 90 days.
Yeah.
And then you can redeem them for Elys. Once you have your Elys, you can sell it. You can restake it. You can do whatever you want with it. Provide liquidity.
Okay.
So as far as the APRs and things like that, I think they're very straightforward on our app. So I think people know what they're getting and they can see them every day. We have them right there on our dashboard. You can see your rewards that are accruing. And Kepler just integrated this as well. So Kepler will show you those rewards and allow you to claim them, although they have not enabled the function to stake them. And then we have EcoStake, who is working on a restake function for us on their restake.app site. So somebody will actually be able to use auth-z, which is a grant mechanism to allow the front end there to automatically restake your Eden for you. So you don't have to keep claiming it and restaking it, which is really nice. We're very, very excited about that. The other thing that we, yeah, absolutely. The other thing we do is we also reward in USDC. So this is one of the things that we're really excited about in Elys is we don't just reward in our own token. That's actually a temporary program for while we have inflation. But we actually take a portion of system revenue. So 25% of system revenue is allocated to stakers. So whatever you're staking, your cut of that will be paid out to you in USDC, rewarded to you in USDC. So when you do your claim rewards, you also receive USDC. So me personally, when I get my USDC, I either put it into the USDC earn pool or I add it to the liquidity pools based on whatever liquidity pools I'm in, because we use an Oracle-based pool.
Yeah.
So what that means is the pool can actually slide off of a 50-50 versus like a standard AMM pool, which is 50-50. So you can actually be incentivized to add USDC to certain pools if there's a lower ratio of USDC in that pool. Well, I can walk through very, very briefly just to kind of show you a little bit about what I'm talking about, just because I think it helps in terms of putting it in context. So I'll share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you should be able to see that. So this is our sign-in page. This is app.elys network. I'm going to demonstrate using my Google account, so I'm just going to log in with Google. I use this on the go all the time, so I actually do this from my phone. This is why I like this, because I don't have to transfer like security, like recovery phrase or private key or anything like that. I just use my Google account for a trading wallet. I don't really trade, but I do a lot of like managing, so to speak, of my staking and all that. So you can see I just logged in. It only took me a couple seconds, and now I'm in. We have membership tiers. So once I hit 25,000, I'm very close here. Once I hit 25,000, I'll be a bronze member.
Nice.
And then once I get to 50,000, and what these tiers do is they give you discounted fees for swaps, and then eventually you will get some other perks like AI tools, like premium stuff that we're going to be having a subscription model for. But on this dashboard, here's the reward that I'm talking about. So for my staking and providing liquidity, you can see my rewards here are paid out in USDC. So this is actually from system revenue. And then the Eden Boost are the inflationary. So I'm very excited about the USDC because we're very, very small right now, right? So the fact that I'm actually receiving USDC rewards every day, this is the last time I restaked was yesterday, it means that our protocol is already generating revenue. But I can claim all 3 rewards just by hitting the button, claim rewards now.
Yeah.
And it's the transaction has been sent to the chain, and now I've claimed my rewards. So it's pretty exciting for me to that it's that easy for me to do it. And then I can go to the earn screen, and then I can restake those rewards. So I now have some Eden. I want to restake that Eden, put it in there, and off it goes. And then Eden Boost, I will do the same thing. I will stake the Eden Boost.
What does the boost mean?
So it's a multiplier. So this is when I do staking, I receive Eden Boost with my Eden, and it's a program that essentially encourages me or incentivizes me to restake my Eden.
Okay, yes.
If I don't restake my Eden, the Eden Boost just gets burned. It just goes away.
Okay.
So it's just a multiplier effect to allow you to boost your staking. And then here's like a USDC earn that I demo. I can add my USDC here, or I can go to the liquidity pools. And let's say I have this Osmo pool is already very heavy on USDC, so I don't want to balance it there. So all these are pretty, they're pretty like heavy on USDC. So probably not one of the things I would want to do. I wouldn't want to add USDC here because I would just further imbalance them. So I'd be charged a fee for that. So I'll probably go back to here and then add the USDC here. So I could just hit max here and then stake. And now I'm staking USDC into the USDC earn pool. This screen will change so that eventually, like, we're going to add Atom. So Atom will be an earn pool here. So you can actually directly stake Atom here into a borrow pool. And then we'll add Ethereum and Bitcoin and Solana, et cetera. So pretty exciting. I think like we've had nothing but like very, very high, feedback, or very positive feedback on how our platform looks, just because it's very easy to use. It's very like clean. It looks like you're interacting with like a TradFi product. And so like we think we have a real viable shot at like, converting centralized exchange users. So that's, I just wanted to showcase that.
For clean and smooth.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And we just hit over $2 million TVL on Elys. So we're very excited about that too. So we have a lot to look forward to. And, we've only been around for 2 months and we're already making big waves in the ecosystem. And we have big announcements coming. I can't talk about it just yet, but we have a major one that we'll probably announce here in the next couple of weeks that I think people will be very, very surprised by.
Well, congratulations of the TVL. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we're coming almost near the end. What is your hardest thing of your role at the moment?
So yeah, I wish I had more time to basically work on all these integrations and all these partnerships. I want to talk to every chain. I want to partner with every chain. We actually hold Osmosis in very high regard. We think they're like just phenomenal. They're pioneers in the space. They keep building. They ship very, very fast. They have a great UI. Their block times are phenomenal. So I can't say enough nice things about Osmosis. I would consider them a friend and a partner. I would love to collaborate with Osmosis. Like I would love for us to, build a unified front together and go market to centralized exchange users, because I think that's what we need, right? I mean, we need to bring the users from outside. I do not endorse or promote any kind of, what they call vampire liquidity, taking liquidity from other Cosmos chains. I think it's just a really bad short-term way of thinking. Like, I think we need to be looking for the users who have not yet entered the crypto space or are on centralized exchanges. And I speak about this all the time, but we have a major asymmetry in that, like, centralized exchanges have over 300 million users, but DeFi is only about 10 million users. So we know where the addressable market is. We know it's over at the centralized exchanges or the users who have not entered into crypto yet. And we could be talking about trillions of dollars there. So that's why I want to see the focus be on getting those users, because those users actually deserve a better experience, and they should come and experience Cosmos. They should come and take a look at what we have built in our ecosystem, and we should be collaborative with one another. Especially, like, for example, like, I would never want to compete with a fellow Cosmos chain, because as we grow Cosmos together, we will all benefit. So that's my hope. My plea to other people who are within the Cosmos ecosystem is, please do not try to take down another chain in Cosmos thinking that that's going to be good for your chain. It's not.
Do not cannibalize.
No, it doesn't do anything for you. What you need to do is be collaborating and presenting a unified front to be able to go get users from Ethereum, Solana, centralized exchanges, brand new users. And once you do that, you will be able to build such momentum on this unification effort. And that's what Solana did, right? Solana was very unified. If you look at their community and their foundation, everything that they did was very unified. They didn't compete with each other internally. They presented a very strong, unified, collaborative front that they went and displayed to the rest of the world. And everybody was like, wow, why are these people so into Solana? And so people joined, right? So we can do the same thing within Cosmos. I encourage everybody to take that collaborative mindset and think bigger than just competing with a fellow chain. Think about how you're going to promote the industry in general, how you're going to make Cosmos great, and how you're going to help use that, leverage that opportunity from the marketing side, from the bootstrapping side, from, education side, to grow the entire ecosystem to help your chain, the specific chains you're interested in, also flourish and grow and be successful.
Yeah, I agree. And I think collaboration is key in this sense.
Absolutely. And I thank Crow's Nest for their efforts in that. I think that you guys are a leader in that space, and I hope that you'll continue to be a leader and continue to be out front in helping with that effort, because we need more of that. And I think it'll pay off here in the very near future.
So one of the last questions. This is a very different question, and maybe you don't even know how to answer. But our founder, he says that he hates accounting. Is this something that you can relate to, or you have a colleague that you hear talking about this?
Accounting is, yeah, nobody wants to do it, right? It's pretty hard work. We're very fortunate. One of our co-founders, Mitchell Nishimura, is our CFO. So he handles all the accounting. He has about a 20-year background being an entrepreneur. So he's managed multiple successful restaurant chains. So balancing budgets, being very fiscally conservative, very judicious and very disciplined in how he manages money has been valuable to Elys Network, because we didn't raise a lot of funds because we wanted to be decentralized very quickly. So I'm thankful to him that he brings that experience to us, because it's easy for him. It's nothing new. Like he's already been doing it for so long.
And the Web3 part doesn't make it cumbersome.
It adds an extra layer, definitely,
Yes.
especially when you think about, like, if you're a user, when you're thinking about like how you do your taxes, for example, with staking rewards, and
Yes.
all the these happen all the time. One thing we thought about when we developed Elys is that's the reason why one of the reasons why we use this Eden vesting model is because if you were having to constantly receive staking rewards every single day or something like that, you would have a tax event every single day, or however often you claimed. But with the vesting model, Eden is not a tradable token. So Eden is just you don't actually get trigger a tax event until you actually redeem Eden.
Yeah.
So you can decide when you want to do that. So if you, for example, you're Eden invested into Elys on December 1st, but you were like, well, I don't want to take the tax burden for this tax year, then don't click the redeem button. Click it on January 1st, and now you can trigger your tax event at that time. So that's why we did it that way, because we heard a lot of feedback from users who were like, but I really have a hard time with all the crazy, when I download the CSV file and I have 10,000 transactions, like, this is crazy. So I agree that it adds an extra layer in Web3, but we'll always find ways to make it easier for a user. And then we also have a developer working on a tax app for us, for users to be able to very quickly download all their transaction history. It collates it, it pulls the data for you, gains, losses, and off you go. So it should be very, very straightforward. So we're going to try to kind of remove that pain point for most of our users.
Nice to hear. So I have the idea that we're going to be cut off in 3 minutes. So my last question is, if you had a magic wand and you could change everything about your work right now, what would it be?
I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything.
For sure.
I love it. Yeah, I love our team. I love our community. I love our validators. I love our governors. I love everything that they've done, and I wouldn't go back and change anything. And the reason is because the journey is authentic, right? And I think for me is you have to the things that we went through that were bad make the good times so much better. And so for me, I love that. I love being able to experience the highs and the lows and go through the tough times together. And if everything was so easy and everything was always great all the time, I don't think I would be a very good founder. I think I would not know how to handle adversity or any kind of tough times that come and challenge our chain. So you have to be tested under pressure, right? You have to have something difficult, and you have to prove yourself to be able to handle difficult times. So I wouldn't change a thing. What I do want to see going forward is collaboration, unification, grow the ecosystem together. Those are the things I want to see going forward. But because we got to experience kind of a little bit of infighting, a little bit of unnecessary competition over the last couple of years, I'm glad we went through those things. I wouldn't change them, because now we know that those didn't work, right? And so now we can kind of flip the script, be more unified, be more collaborative, and continue to make the Cosmos ecosystem great.
Yeah, super nice. Thank you for sharing. I think, we're at the end. I just want to thank you for all of the value input that you gave. Is there anything that you want to say before we close off?
No, thank you, Cynthia, for your time. I really appreciate being on with you. I would love to do this again. If you ever want to do this live, or if you ever want to do it as a space, I'm happy to do it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And thank you to your team at Crow's Nest for everything that they do. I look forward to working with you in the future. And yeah, be well and be safe. And here's to a very successful 2025.
Thank you. You too. Have a good day.
Thank you. Cheers.